a minimum value should be what is known as liquidation value. I hope I've stressed that, and I am again raising my hand and saying people like me are incompetent to do it. I have no problem saying what I can't offer. I am incompetent to do it. If you give it to me also, I'll talk to JLL and say, please get me the value and pass it on to the client. Simple, plain thing. A liquidation value is what is the current, you stop everything. A liquidation value is you stop all your business, sell it as is where is. Sell it as is where is, end of the matter. One more time for dear Sanjay sir, please note a DCF does not capture liquidation value. Having said this, the time has come, 3 statements, profit and loss, right, cash flow, balance sheet. I stressed on the liquidation value. Please get this right. I would now like to go into what is known as the cash flow method. What is known as a cash flow method, what is free cash flow. But before I go into free cash flow, I want to just draw up the structure of profit and loss statement. But before profit and loss statement, sir, put up his hand. Please, sir.
Not necessarily it can be applied in every circumstance because there will be constraints for a company to liquidate. Like for example, suppose an Indian company is acquiring a company overseas, you might have a problem, and even if you think that the value is high, but you may not be able to liquidate that value asset. Therefore, you have to buy it as a going concern. So therefore, the liquidation value at that point of time to value the company based on that and to pay money on that, I think will not be right.
Very, very nice comment.
Liquidate it.
Can I share one experience here, sir? Thank you. Please bring up these things. Name of the client is Electrotherm. Avinash Bhai and Mukesh Bhai and we decided we are acquiring a Brazilian company, right? And those who are aware of, those who are not from the field, Electrotherm is is a furnace company and doing very well. They decided to, thank you sir, please keep raising these points. They decided to acquire a Brazilian company. Now what happened here, Hitendra sir, is exactly what Prasanna sir was indicating. The asset value was very, very big. But then we realized that if you do liquidation value, then it's going much beyond our budgets, right? Because the value is very, very high. We valued it as per DCF senior, but then what we did is we asked him to only sell his business and keep his assets. So we did it as a going concern, but the clear mandate that we gave to the client on the other side, thank you for nodding, was we don't want your assets. We want your entire business and you will run it for us. And whatever we pay, very important, Sushil sir, this next line is extremely important. When you are trying to buy somebody else's business, next important thing, moment we said, we don't want your asset. Oh, we don't want, where do we want? You've got good such land here. We don't want this land. You keep it, right? But you want that business to come to us and we'll possibly operate it out of Brazil, maybe interior Brazil, or maybe we'll shift it back to India. That's our concern. But 2 things that we want, either you come if you are in Brazil or you manage it for us. If you're not willing to come, you are right, you don't want to work for Electrotherm, you don't want to work for us, great. We'll pay you the amount for your business. Very important. Thank you, sir. Thank you again. Very important. We said we want to have a no compete agreement. When you buy out somebody's business, right? When you buy out somebody's business, please understand, typically, please ensure, I'm looking at the buyer's side here, please ensure that if you are valuing the business and buying it out, please ensure that, especially overseas, please ensure that you have a built-in clause of no compete agreement. And typically no compete agreement, right? I'm not a legal expert, but this side, I spent some time now on this side. So a lot of aspects, mercifully I could gather. No compete agreement up to 7 years is legally valid. Beyond 7 years is getting challenged. So you can't, Sushi sir, you can't say, Prasanna sir can't compete with me forever. That may be a legal case I might lose. But up to 7 years, right, typically, excuse me, you know what, I paid him 1 million, I made him 2 million. Actually, the valuation is coming to 2 million. I paid him, right, something extra. So I paid him 2.2 million. The idea of paying him 2.2 million is, I'm paying him extra for a no compete agreement, up to 7 years, right. Beyond 7 years, it's got challenged sometimes. It really got challenged. Thank you, sir. Please, one second, Vishal sir, I really want to appreciate Prasanna sir. Please note, then you do Don't bring in the assets. Thank you. If such cases you are ever handling, don't bring in the assets. Then value the business and say, I don't want it as is where is. I only want your business and I'm taking it out. To give one more perspective, right? This is for Mr. Saraf, who is very candid. I'm so happy he's come here for his clients, right? So please note, Madura Coats acquired 2 brands, right? Louis Philippe and Arrow. And all that they let, right? One more example, sir. One more example. Hindustan Lever, right? ISB, I'm sure, would be carrying these cases. Hindustan Lever acquired only the brands of LACPay, and they let their manufacturing facilities be as is, whereas they said we want only the brand. Then, in such cases, please don't look at balance sheet. Thanks again. Don't look at balance sheet. Then start with DCF. Sir, लेकिन आपके केस में मैं clearly I like to tell you, and I would try one sec, sir. आपके केस में especially manufacturing रहेगा ना, sir, you will have to bring in this aspect, sir, because this will be old firms and they'll have sufficient land chunks. Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Prasanna, sir.
Yes, you buy the business, but
Yeah.
what about the manufacturing establishments which they have? That we don't manufacture there?
No. In fact, the contract that he gave us, he was not willing. You brought in that point. He was not willing to sell his land. He said, I don't want to sell the land. We said, okay, you don't sell the land, right? We said, you keep the land, we'll pay you lease rentals. I'm getting a bit, I'll edit this out. I'll edit this out, but I want to answer, sir. He said, we don't want lease rentals. And said, can you work for us? He said, I don't want to work for us. Right? We don't want to work for an Indian company, with due respects. He said, we'll pay you for your business. And we paid him a princely sum. And what we did is, we said we'll shift some operations to India, which actually worked in our benefit. We got him for his customers and distribution network. So we gave him a no compete for 7 years. We said he should be in charge for us for 1 year, so that he gives us all his distribution network, customers, etc. He gave it to us. Today the gentleman is out of this business. He is into something else. So, and right.
Prohibits to ship the plant.
Right. That is one thing we were lucky. In this case, we were right. But in European nations, this is a bigger problem. And in there, if you are doing this, this will not work at all. This will not. Luckily, it was Brazil, it could work. Thank you for your point, sir. Vishwanath, sir, you put up your hand.
No, I'm actually a little lost here. When we
Please,
say
please.
a no-compete clause,
Huh.
when I sell my business out,
Huh.
I'm trying to understand here.
Please.
Is what you're trying to say is that person who's selling his business will not be allowed to manufacture any other product
In the same line of business.
in the same line of
In
business.
the same brand possibly.
Right.
The whole thing is about the brand.
Right.
But there's no
One sec, Siri. One sec. You said you are lost, so I'm getting worried.
No, so the point I'm trying to say is I'm trying to map it back to our business.
Yes.
So when we essentially acquire certain businesses, there's no particular brand. I mean, we look for customers, that particular value.
You have a product line, Syria?
We have a service line.
Correct. So in this service line, you will have, let us say, you are the expert in your field. Let's say you're catering to banking. So I'll come to you. Just one sec. Banking and insurance. You buy out somebody's business, let's say in Korea, in banking and insurance. That guy now cannot use your money to compete with you in banking and insurance. He can use your money to possibly go to healthcare. We have no problem. He can get it to IT. You can't tell him he can't be in IT. But he can use your money for anything else except banking and insurance. So his banking and insurance clients are with you. His banking and insurance products are with you. As sir said, his office is with him. What is it is with him. You may also decide, if you want, that you would like to have some key members of his staff, which may or may not come, sir. Please note, which may or may not come. Sushil sir, you were also saying something. Thank you.
7-year thing is what?
Sir, इसमें 7-year thing was an observation. So sir, you've been very watchful. I have seen some people saying no compete for life. Now, no compete for life gets challenged, and this is an Indian case which I don't want to say publicly, where the guy went to the court and said, how can you say no compete for life? I would like to get into the sector after some time. And respected honorable judge accepted that, saying this you cannot prohibit the freedom of an enterpriser. At the same time, I have seen that if you put time lags, see, because he can come into the sector after 7 years, but till 7 years the market is for us. It makes sense to actually define a timeline. If you don't define the timeline, sir, then it may come into legal problems, right? So, and this is the legal due diligence becomes extremely important as financial due diligence. Like sir was saying, in some countries they don't let you shift. I'll tell you, sir, in some European nations, they don't let you shift. They don't let you retrench people. And if you, where valuation just goes off for a toss. They say if you are retrenching, good. Then you retrench, pay him 50% of the wages. And moment you want to recruit anybody else, first offer should go to this gentleman, whom you are, because what you have said is excess staff. So now moment you need staff, get this guy back in. Right? In such cases, how do you come in with a right cost control is the question that comes in. Having said that, I don't want to paint a negative picture. I want to be as positive as possible. A lot of European companies are out for sale. The simple reason being the next generation do not want to continue the business, right? A very, very simple rule, just as a joke, but right, this conveys something. Our dean, Dr. Shrikant, 1969 Harvard, sir says something, about businesses, right? And these can come only from experts or, right, deep people like Dr. Shrikant. Sir says first generation builds, second generation grows, third generation sells. And this is exactly what I'm saying in Germany today, sir. Exactly what I'm saying in Germany, Spain, Italy. You have a lot of things, but sir, again, right, please note that discussion what sir was saying. Please be very careful, even if you're getting it at a pittance, please understand the legal due diligence before you get there. Any other questions, comments? Any other repetitions, welcome. I like the way sir pulled me back and said I'm a bit lost there. So anything that you want me to repeat before I just run you all through a profit and loss statement. So let's start with a profit and loss statement, and from there I'll build up what is known as the free cash flow, right? So sir, the pace is okay with you, right? First thing in a profit and loss statement is you will have income. And here you have to be very clear about income, and there are two fragments of income. So with your permission, I'll just rub it, right? And the entire balance sheet, etc., I have just given as a handout. Handout, as if you notice, just trying something. I hope I'm successful. I need your feedback. I'm trying to communicate through a wider audience, not only colleagues like you, not only seniors like you, to a wider audience. So if you see, I've been trying to simplify that also, covering all the practical aspects. Huh? First thing that you should do in income is break it up. First thing that you should do in income is break it up. So here we go to profit and loss statement. How do you analyze this statement? How do you analyze this statement? You have to break it up into, so first thing is income, which you have to break it up into core income and other income. Pillai sir, why should you do it, Mr. Pillai? Why should you do it? Please go ahead, sir.
Core income is what your core competency is about, what you are really into manufacturing, or what is your market. And other income is something which you are getting extra in terms of either selling something which is not your business.
Thank you very much, sir. Ganeshji, remove out other income from DCF valuations. Thank you, Prasanna sir, for nodding. Real pleasure having you all here. For if I am not communicated, I'll explain this. It's my duty. Core income is what is actually the case why the company is for. Other income is tertiary income, is add-on income. And you are not buying a unit and somebody is not buying your unit, either sell side, buy side, for your other income, it's for your core income. That basically means split the income into two parts and say, okay, I'm going to focus on this aspect, that is the core income of the business. So the practical question that I'll ask you is, right, okay, it's very good to start with. Sushil sir, how do you know what is core income? How can you identify core income? Let's say the case that sir was discussing, a case of a Brazilian company, or you, as you said, a cross-border acquisition. How do you identify core income, sir, of any company?
I presume what comes from the operations of the business.
Okay.
Otherwise, do we sell of land or some asset somewhere else, which is appreciated or would go as non-core income?
Absolutely. So, Surya, you defined it very well, right? That sale of assets is, right, other income, and operations is core income. Agreed, sir. My question specifically is, because I have to this is a practical course. I want to go beyond what, I want to give you working tips. If you are given a cross-border case, how do you know what is the core income of that company? Because you don't have the breakup. You can't ask the client. Most of the times you can't even ask the client. Why can't you ask the client, Prasanna sir? Because he's a target. You are working on it before he knows. But that's how we do our homework. We identify a target, we work on it, then we initiate a talk. Chalo, let's now talk. Is this guy interested in sale? Most of the time we say, no, don't even go to these 3 people. They are not worth buying. Go to the other 2. They are worth buying. So how do you know what is core income? Correct. Core income is operations. Perfect. Core income is the one you should really focus on. How did you identify core income? Saraf sir? How do you identify core income? And this, what I am saying, is applicable globally, including Indian companies.
The main activity is
Agreed, senior. But how do you identify it? Sir, profit and loss, you can't make out, no, senior? Ganesh ji?
the products.
Products, agreed, sir. Products, agreed. Customers, agreed, Pillai sir.
With respect to the external environment and how it is doing.
Okay. So you look at the external environment.
Company, if it's a listed company, the figures which are available in the domain, I think the income will have to be split into the main and the other. No?
Prasanna sir, you're so good. They'll just give you segments. They'll give you segments. And yes, sir, nobody wants to disclose, na, sir. Again, I'll edit this out. So Bombay Dyeing does not want to disclose that this year it has not made money.